Let's get over here. All right. Oh, you guys, happy Tuesday, the 13th, launch day for Bjorn and his Rune of Whispers. Oh, my goodness. We were right there, Bjorn, at number 1, man. We're number 2. We were right there. I know, isn't it? Oh, Dina, me and Bjorn were talking earlier last week, and this is probably our favorite cover. But we also say that every time. Every time.
It's still my favorite too. I like this one the best. It's the contrast. I like the contrast. See that?
Nice. It is beautiful. Oh, it's beautiful. But no, you guys are tuning in to the celebration of Bjorn's book. Dina did the cover, Andrea did the editing, Mickey does all the wonderful publicity, and I am your host, the party girl, Amy herself. Though I'm not a party girl, I'm in bed by 9:30, but for Bjorn, I am the party girl. Okay, that's how we're gonna roll with it. That's how we're rolling with it. That's everybody's descriptions tonight, you guys. So, oh my gosh, on the 13th of all days, what a perfect fitting day with your cover and everything, in my opinion. I think it has been just the perfect day. But Bjorn, tell us about Rune of Whispers. What is this one? Summarize it for us. Continue this journey in your series for us.
I'm particularly proud of this one because this represented a little bit of a deviation for me from my normal writing up to this point. The first 4 books primarily were action, a lot of battle, a lot of fast-paced storytelling. And because of that, there was spots in the storyline where I kind of briefly summarized pretty large spans of history. And one of those was in book 1. It was a 10-year span when Mariel and her people were in their settlement in Great Britain. A lot happened that 10 years, but in order to keep everything flowing for the first 3 books, I just kind of laid it out in a summary fashion and moved on. And once all that was finished, I decided I wasn't done. I wanted to go back and readdress that. So this book represents a telling of that 10-year span. And the reason that even came about was because when I decided to write book 4, which brought Ingrid, Stone Splitter, and Lord Woldred further into the story from more of the background, I realized that what led them to book 4 needed to be told, and that was what I told in book 5. So I wasn't done, I guess is the best way to put it. I wasn't done. I wasn't happy with the summation of that time period because a lot of things happened. But where the deviation of writing style happened was this one is a lot more political intrigue. It explains how the settlement wound up getting destroyed and most of the settlers were killed. And it explains how that all came about because it was explained in book 1, but it wasn't real descriptive. It just kind of gave you a basic idea of the Saxon politics and the bad blood between the Saxon and the Norse led to the Norse settlement being destroyed. So I wanted to give you the reader a lot more understanding of how it happened, but also I wanted to give Ingrid and Woldred a lot more of the spotlight that feeds into their story that was already told in book 4, and it tells you how all that happened. Because Woldred's a little bit of an enigma. When you see him in book 4, you knew he was in Saxon lands, you knew he was a Saxon lord, but all of a sudden he shows up in Scandinavia, and it's a little vague how all that happened. And he kind of explains it to Ingrid, but not a lot. He left a lot of things out because he wasn't a very good guy in his past, and he's trying to make up for it now. So it's all interconnected, but it's a plug. I like to call it a plug. It's a plug of an area that I wanted to tell after I saw the direction that future books were going. If that makes any sense.
Nice. So you needed closure on your end. You didn't feel like you had closed it off. I feel like
correct.
Wait, can you hear me? Okay, I was gonna say everybody froze on my end. I was like, "What the heck is happening? Stop with the juju." Okay, everybody's back though. hopefully.
I saw movement. I just didn't hear anything.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Even worse. Even worse.
The curse of Halvara struck.
Oh, and now she left.
I know. God. So, well, okay.
I guess you're up, Dina.
No, I'm sorry. I'm
Coming
back.
back.
I'm back, you guys. I'm
Hey,
back. All I heard
Amy, we're
was,
not playing boomerangs here. Just know that.
no, I'm sorry. You guys, oh my gosh. If you didn't hear what I was saying, so one, I just heard Bjorn laughing saying that I was moving a lot and you couldn't hear me. And I'm over here just like, quit casting bad juju. Everybody is lagging. So then I just reset. So hopefully it's all working, because if it's not working, I just have bad juju on me today. Okay. So we're just going to not mix that. But what I said is you weren't happy with the closure. And so you felt like you needed to continue with this closure in your book, which is what led to this one. And I feel like that is what continues to happen in your series. You're like, I'm not happy. We're going to keep going.
Yeah, that's how these books keep happening.
Yeah. I love to hear that you're not done with it.
Well, I also I see a lot more opportunity for connections too, more connections throughout the books, and that's essentially what this was. It brings more of Woolger's and Ingrid's story into it, and plugs in some of the gaps of how things flowed and how things happened the way they did in England. So,
Love it.
So I want to talk about, as long as I'm not, I don't think I'm frozen, but I want to talk about the history and the research that you put into your books. What does that look like for you? Is it like charts and, like labeling down everything? How long does that research take you? How do you even find a starting point, for the historical part of your book? What historical point of time, I guess, you're going to be at, and what that research entails for you.
that I kind of did it a little bit selfishly, because I've already been into these areas of history for many, many years, and a lot of the knowledge was already just bouncing around in my brain, and I just formed a story around it. Now there were occasions where I had to look up specific things and kind of poke around on the internet a little bit, maybe dig a book out that I have somewhere and look through it. But in general, it's already in my head, so it came pretty easily, the history aspect of it. It was just forming a compelling story to go around it, and especially when you weave in the psychology and you weave in the supernatural aspects and you weave in all the other genres that kind of mix into this story. That was kind of more where the challenge came in. The historical aspect, luckily, already had that for the most part. I mean, there were some things I did have to look up, but that was less of a challenge than compelling a good, solid, consistent story around it.
Well, so let's touch on the supernatural part, because I feel like in all the times that I've talked to you, we always talk about the history elements and those kinds of things, because that's the most fascinating to me. But I don't know a whole lot about the supernatural arena. But how did you come up with the best way to tie those in, right? Because historical fiction with fantasy mixed with Viking era is somewhat unique. It's not something that every Joe Blow is doing. So how did you kind of pinpoint what supernatural elements you wanted to incorporate in each book and how to incorporate those? What is that process like for you? Some people write them down. Some people have a whole dictionary of the supernatural things that they want to incorporate. What is that for you?
Well, really, the supernatural aspect, it's I guess if you take popularly accepted supernatural stories, it's vampires, it's werewolves, it's things that almost have maybe a technical aspect to it that you can kind of research and put down. Mine more deals with if you boil it down, it's the universal struggle of light against dark. That's when I say supernatural. It's more spiritual, but it's not specifically spiritual, if that makes sense. The story, of course, acknowledges there's a living world and there's an other world, it's called in this book, where it's beyond the veil. And it doesn't go into great detail about what that looks like. It doesn't explain what this other world is. Kind of leaves it up to the reader to decide for themselves what that looks like. But it does acknowledge it's there. It does acknowledge higher beings. And again, that's up to the reader to decide how that goes. There is a God figure. The God figure is called Kina Anar in this series, but it's a God. It's God. However you view God, that's what this being is. And this being doesn't show up in person except potentially once in the whole book and in the whole story so far. But that's because there's a reason for that. I won't give it away. That comes out in the final.
Damn it! You just left me on a cliffhanger. You were gonna give it to me, and then you're just like, well, nope.
I realized I didn't want to go that far. It'll be in book 8, but there's a reason why, and it's left up to humans and these other beings to work out their problems themselves, basically. But the supernatural aspect, it's essentially the part that shows up the most is really the power that's within Mariel. It's not known how it got there. It's a mix of light and dark. It's, as it's described in the book, it's both light and dark and neither at the same time. And it's it can be unbelievably destructive, or it can be beneficial. It's just how it's controlled and how it's channeled through Mariel. And she's the only one that can use it. Her descendants have it within them too, but it's in a dormant form, and they feed it to her. She uses it. They don't. So she is the keystone figure in the whole story. There's a lot of characters with a lot of important roles, but she is the keystone. And supernatural element is a huge part of that, but it's not every chapter. It only shows up here and there. It's more about Mariel and the people that help her through this struggle and this saving of the living world in this iteration. It alludes to the dark is working together, but at the same time they don't. They're not cohesive. So there's a lot of just random things the dark's doing that's trying to destroy the living world. It was a fun story to write. It's pretty layered and pretty complicated, but the supernatural aspect really isn't the main aspect. I don't believe. I think it's more character driven.
Well, I have another question for that, but I want to get Dina talking about the cover and what that process, how that idea came about while I go and get my feral children inside. So I'm going to let Dina take it away, but I'm coming back beyond to the supernatural because I have a question I've been dying to ask. And if I forget this question this time, it's just going to be like my grandma says, out the window, and it's probably never going to come back, So we're going to dive back into it. But Dina, I'm going to let you take it away with the cover, and I will be right back.
I'm sorry. I thought I was muted when I was yelling at my child. I'm sorry. So when you came to me with the cover, you said basically what you wanted. How did you come up with that was what you wanted?
Well, I was trying to tie.
You wanted.
Yeah, I was trying to tie it in with the first three. Of course, you remember the first one was the Drakkar, the purple background. And that was more or less to show the reader where it starts. I mean, obviously that's not where the book ends at, but it shows it where it starts. Ties into Mariel's background. She's a Norse warrior, Viking. It's popularly called them Vikings. But book 2, of course, was the airplane, and that signified a change in. Yep, there it is, and that signified the change of backstory. Now we're in the World War II era, and the same with book 3. With the green ship. So four we go back with Ingrid, but we stay in the Viking age once again. This is Ingrid's story, and she didn't travel into the future. She stayed in her time. So we went back to the Drakkar with the red background, which of course shows tie into the revenge aspect of the whole story, where she has to kill a lot of people to accomplish her goals. And then, so with book 5, this is a tie-in to it primarily explains what happened to the Norse settlement in Britain. Why did it get destroyed? It was there 20 years. Mariel was the leader of it. She wasn't exactly best friends with the Saxons, but they got along. I mean, they coexisted. But there were so many political things going on in the background that she didn't even know about. Wildred was playing on her behalf in what is called the game, which is nothing but just pure backstabbing and politics that was going on within the Saxon realms. And it really wasn't all that they even hated the Norse settlers that were there. They were just pawns. They were pawns in this whole thing to steal, to get power over everybody else. It was crazy, a whole crazy situation. And I felt like, without giving it too much away on the cover, showing the Dragastil home in flames basically shows more or less what the story is about. It's about how did the settlement get destroyed, and that's kind of where I went with that. And that's why I kind of tossed it to you about just Dragastil home, maybe some smoke, and let's see where we go from there. And of course, the first one you pounded out was awesome, and that's the one that's on the cover now. So once again, no challenge for you.
No, honestly, your next one. I love that one. I mean, that one, but I'm not going to talk about it. That's it. Never mind. Sorry. So, but the red, yeah, the way I think it's like pretty soon we're going to have like the entire rainbow of books. So you've got to keep writing at least to 7. How many colors are in a rainbow? 8, 9?
There's 3 primary, 3 tertiary or secondary. We're already through all those. So
okay,
now we're going to have to move on to some creative
black
stuff.
Solid black, maybe.
Well, actually, I think Andrea came up with a good suggestion for book 7, which would be the last part of Josephine Peel's story. That would be like dark coffee brown. I thought that sounded like a good color because nothing light and airy is going to work for her. I'm telling you, she's a very, very dark character.
It's a mocha. We're gonna have like a deep mocha. Right.
But there will be a book 8. I've pretty much talked myself into it after bouncing it off Andrea a few times. So now there's going to be an 8th color too. I'm sorry, I don't. This character is a very pure character, so maybe we could talk about a pinkish color. Maybe not pink, but a pinkish color.
All right, I will be happy. I will finally be happy if we do
maybe salmon or something like that.
Kind of like my shirt. Maybe like my t-shirt.
That would be yeah.
So it's like a peachy orangey. So I got a question that doesn't have anything to do with my part of it. Can your books be read as standalone? Or do you need to start at book 1 and then read the whole thing? Can I jump in?
It is very much suggested you just start at 1 and go from there, because there's so much detail that bleeds into every other book. 2 and 3 definitely have to be read together, because one read it goes right into the next one. I mean, there's no pause, so you have to read those 2. Ingrid's story, book 4, you probably could read it standalone. In fact, people have, in a lot of the reviews, they loved it even as a standalone novel. But again, you miss a lot of the story, you miss a lot of the characters if you don't start from the beginning. And 5, you really have to read book 1 to understand what even is going on in book 5. So I think the safest route is start at 1 and go to the end.
Yeah, to immerse yourself in the whole world.
Yeah, because like I say, there's just so many connections that have to be made.
I'd rather read a series than anything else, because you already get emotionally invested in it, right? So just keep telling me the story. That's all I want. Just keep telling me the story.
And then, coming from the author's perspective, I think that's how series are even born, is because we become so invested in the characters, we don't want to stop writing them. So it just keeps going and going and going.
I got to tell what happens next. I got to tell what happens next.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I'm back. I survived my feral children, you guys.
Were you bitten?
Not my dogs. No, I avoided getting bitten by the water gun. But okay, so I have to ask my question because I'm going to forget. What made you want to add a supernatural element into your series instead of just making it like a historical fiction, novel? What made you want to add that like supernatural element?
I think it's just purely I've always been interested in the supernatural, the mysteries of the world, the stuff we don't understand, what's behind the veil. All that stuff's always interested me. So I think when I started when I started creating Mariel herself, I started thinking of ways to make her unique. Of course, I started with the appearance. Well, I started with her being a female warrior. That's where it began. And then said, well, let's not stop there. Let's make her extra interesting. So we made her not your typical warrior. She was half North African and half Norse. So she had a very unique appearance, which, you know, does not fit the Norse stereotype. So that you have that. And then I decided I'm going to give her, I kind of wanted to go, I won't say I wanted to go comic book all the way, but I wanted to throw kind of a comic book-esque type characteristic in there. And that was her power. That was her superpower. But I didn't want to do it like most comic book-esque type stories are made, where they're almost invincible. I didn't want to do that. She's very human, and she's very she suffers many defeats. She's nearly killed many times and is killed a couple times, but there are through the supernatural she comes back, because she has things she has to do, and it's part of the Thalspar, it's part of the song, it's part of the will of the highest being that she has to do these things. So I didn't pepper it in real heavy. I put it in at times when it needed to be there, but mostly it was character driven. It's centered around Mariel. It's centered around the characters that supported her. It's really a story of humanity. It's a story of these people and what they have to go through to save their own world from evil, basically. So the supernatural's there. It's just not an overpowering element.
See, so I think that's what I appreciate the most about your stories. I've been trying to pinpoint it as I've been reading them, and it's just hard to kind of pinpoint, right? But when you said it out loud, I just was like, holy crap, that's it, right? Because I'm reading a book right now that is supernatural, but it's like the werewolf supernatural kind of element to it, right? And to an extent, things can be far-fetched. They're like, oh, I got shot in the arm, but my werewolf powers, like, it just pushed the bullet out, right? And like, not that those are bad. I'm not saying that those are bad, but for yours, it really does feel more realistic, right? Because it's not, she has all these kind of come close calls, and she does die, and then supernatural brings her back and all those things, but it just feels more realistic in things that would happen, right? Like, you have like, not, you don't have, but like sometimes in these elements, you have like what I call the Mission Impossible ones, which is like, he's whatever one that was, where he was like scaling that tall building with suction cups, right? That's unrealistic, but your knees still kind of buckle a little bit, right? And so I think that's why I've enjoyed them, because I'm not a big fantasy reader. That's just, I really want you to mess with my head for whatever reason. It makes me happy. But for your books, I can really get into them. And I really feel like it's because, one, of the writing, but it is just more, to me, realistic of it, not so fantasy-esque,
That's good to hear you say, because that was my goal going in, is I wanted to make it where, yes, it's a fantasy story. Yes, there are some fantastic elements to it. But when you're the reader's reading through it, they could almost imagine this really happening. I wanted it to be that close to reality, but still with the fantasy element involved.
Yeah, you can get that for sure.
Well, even one of the most pivotal battle scenes in the whole series was the battle at Fjord Skoren in book 2, and that's where Mariel had to face off with golems that were created, ironically, from her own bones that held her power. So she had to fight herself 3 times. And I mean, that did dive pretty heavy into the fantasy side in that particular scene. But even at that, she still didn't just win. I mean, she had to fight for it, and she suffered a lot. She lost partial use of one of her eyes. I mean, she paid the price for this battle. It wasn't just like she just whipped ass and walked away and everything's good now. It never works like that in this world.
Exactly. I think
nothing's ever that resounding.
Yeah, and I think I have so much more respect for her after those things, because I mean, yeah, like she whipped ass, but like she has battle scars and like wounds, and not necessarily like PTSD, but she carries those things, right? It was
absolutely
actually a battle. She has damage to her instead of just been like, oh,
after that scene, we have to follow her team without her, because it takes her 8 months to recover. I mean, this wasn't it wasn't we slap a Band-Aid on it, she just goes about her business.
It wasn't 3 days. Is that what you're telling me? It wasn't
Right.
3 days and it just her bones fixed and we were all better, you know? Yeah.
She kept Father Francis very busy. He was the spiritual leader, but he was also the medical doctor. She kept him very busy.
Yeah, right. He earned his place there. Okay. No, I get that. But Andrea, I want to ask you a question. Which one of the books so far that have come out would you say is your favorite? If you had to pick, because I'm making you pick. Which one would you say is your
that's really tough. My favorite battle scene is the one that Bjorn just referenced, which is ironic that because it is the most supernatural at that point. And I, like you, Amy, that's not usually my go-to read. He does a great job seasoning it well, not overpowering it with that. Gosh, that's a tough one. And I don't want to take the easy way out, but I do really like this book 5. And he usually gives me either a warning or really like a big concern at the beginning of every edit. He's like, I'm really, this one is going to be, you know, I don't know, this one's going to be a real risk. And specifically with book 5, it's going to be a real risk because it's more character driven and less action scenes and all that. He's filling in the history, but he's such an amazing writer. And in the previous 4 books has already developed and set up these characters so well that you want to hear the backstory. It's intriguing to hear the backstory, not just about the characters as individuals, but all the politics that's going on. And this book is really heavy with a lot of politics, and the game that he references is probably the strongest theme in this book. And so there's a lot of manipulation and behind the scenes, you know, political gain that's happening behind the scenes with Wooldred in particular. And so I liked Wooldred's character. Also, I liked this book because of the relationship that's developing even more so between Ingrid and Muriel. So I'm a relational kind of person anyway, so that's an easy choice for me to say book 5, but I love them all.
I think it's almost an unfair question because each one kind of comes at a different angle. Book 3, I got a little bit of blowback from my awesome editor on that one because it was slower. It was a much slower pace than the rest of them around it. But I wanted to more focus on Maeve Lynch, who her part it didn't take up a lot of pages in the series so far, but it was a huge part of the story in the end. And I kind of wanted to focus on her a little bit more. And 5, of course, is the political intrigue. 6 and 7 will be completely different as well from the rest of the series. And then 8.
And I gotta say, I won't give anything away, but if you had asked me who my favorite character was, I will tell you will meet her in 6 and 7, right? Bjorn, am I right? Love
Yes.
Her. Yeah. So start with book 1 and keep going because it only gets better.
Yeah. Josephine is who she was referring to. Josephine is, I think I like her the best. I'll be honest. Mariel had the most pivotal role, and she still does. She always will in this series. She'll always have the pivotal role. But it's just amazing what Josephine has to do and what she chooses to do. And Andrea, you haven't even, you're going to start the spinoff book next month, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you will be shocked and amazed what she does in that one, even after everything she's already done.
Awesome.
No, but Andrea, just like you had heard, this one's risky. Me and Dina hears this cover's going to be a doozy. It's going to challenge you. Like we hear that with everyone, which I appreciate and I love because I think for me, just in this space, I don't know, I won't talk for Dina, but for me, it just shows how passionate you are about it. right? And I think that's important to have. You're not just writing books and throwing them up there. Like, you're writing them because you enjoy them, and you want, you want to get them out in their stories. And I mean, you've converted people like me and Andrea who are not big fantasy readers at all. So, it's always a bonus to do that. But I want Mickey to chime in here, because Mickey's thoughts and opinions are different, and he does the publicity for you. So Mickey, I just want you, I'm going to tag you in. How are you doing?
I'm good. So the way I want to word this, and it might sound offbeat, but I want to say it, is, I work with lots of authors. Well, me and Amy work together with lots of authors. And I work with lots of authors by myself as well. And what really stands out about you, Bjorn, it's not even related to your books, to be honest, although they are very, 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 very eye-catching and brilliant from a marketing proposal perspective, right? But what I take away from everything you're doing, and this is a compliment, I hope it sounds like a compliment, is you. You, because you're so genuine with everything you do. You're so genuine and you're so authentic in any interview you talk about. Your written ones, how you conduct yourself professionally, just all of that. And all that really does, because of your genuine, articulate, professional personality, is it goes back and it drives traffic to your books as well. Because if you're going to be like that as an individual, you've got to be a hell of a writer for doing that. So thank you. I
appreciate that.
No,
it's thank you.
I'm being very serious. Like, you have no ego. You'll do every opportunity, no matter what the reach, no matter what. And you'll do it with pride and glory, and you'll just go all out. And you've just been a joy to work with all of these books. And
I learned at an early age. I've tried ego before. You know what happens? You get your ass slapped down pretty hard.
Right.
So the best thing to do is just be yourself and be humble.
So brown cover, pink cover, psychedelic green cover, rainbow cover, it doesn't matter, because we know at the end of the day, you're going to be professional when you interact with the media and everything else, and you're going to have success overall. So thank you for that. Those are my thoughts, Amy.
Hey, don't tempt Dina with a pink cover, because if she could do pink and a flamingo,
you missed it.
She would do it.
I think you were gone. I already caved on that. We're gonna do kind of a salmon-ish color for book 8.
Not pink. That's not pink. Salmon is like a more orangey pink. That's not pink.
It's close enough to pink that I'm surprised he even went that.
Oh man. Oh, Bjorn, you gotta stand firm, man.
Flamingo on the back. So.
I am personally excited about the brown cover, because we'll go to Starbucks and do a marketing licensing thing.
There you go.
Don't tempt me with Starbucks, okay? The one up the street knows my name, okay? Come on.
Thank you for all that you do, Bjorn. Honestly, thank you for writing these wonderful books, and thank you for the person that you are as well.
Well, thank all of y'all. I mean, like I've said 1,000 times before. Writing is the easy part. It's all the other stuff. The editing, the marketing, the book covers, all that. That's the challenge. It's not the writing.
Oh, man.
You are an easy client. You really are. Your whole aura, the way you interact with everybody, you're a dream to work for. So
I love it. I love it when Dina's working on your books, Bjorn, because she'll text me and she'll be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I don't know. Half the time, like, I don't know, I'm trying to keep my head attached to my body. She's like, "Well, I just sent you an email and it looks badass. You got to go check it." And I know it's a book cover for you, because we would have talked about it or something. And she gets the most excited, like, when she's doing the book covers for you. She's like, "Doesn't it look sweet?" Like, it's just the greatest thing. So when you get a phone call like that from Dina, you know that you've made it into her circle where she just thoroughly enjoys it. So
I asked my daughter first, and she's like, little Miss Artiste, right? So I was like, "What do you think about this?" And she goes, "It looks tough." And I'm like, "Wait, is tough good or is tough bad?" I need to know what the context is. She goes, "No, it's good." I'm like, "Well, is it kind of tough or is it really tough?" She goes, "No, it's really tough." I was like, "Okay, thank you. That's high praise from her."
And here's the thing, everybody, and I think we all know this, but I'm gonna blow it up because no one maybe knows who's watching this. We've worked with you for how long, Bjorn? Probably a year and a half, right?
Year and a half, I think, for the marketing side. Yeah.
So you get a book reviewed in an Australia science fiction magazine. It happens to be beside a Stephen King review, which is huge.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get an interview in another magazine. It just so happens to have a George R.R. Martin comparison inside of it. How much bigger can you get than that, really? Honestly.
And what made that one cool was because I have mentioned George R.R. Martin in it. I thought it was in that one, but I went back and read it. It was not in that interview. It was in a completely different one. So this one was drawn. The comparison was drawn without any input about George R.R. Martin. So that was pretty.
It there in their
exactly
right.
mindset.
Yeah. So that was pretty
organic.
That was very awesome.
That just is a testament to you, though, right? For those comparisons, right? Because every author dreams of those kind of comparisons.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's very, very good. Very good.
Man.
We just have to make sure a New York Times bestseller is not launching their book the same weekend, and you'll be fine.
Shut your mouth, Mickey. Shut your mouth. Don't even talk about that. Shut your mouth.
I'm just saying it's good, actually. End of the day, it's great.
No, I remember when the Australian one came out because Mickey called me. I mean, Mickey calls me a lot every day anyways, but I remember he called me and I didn't answer and he hung up and he called me again. And then he messaged me. He was like, "Hi, Amy." And it was like exclamation point. So I knew I had to call him back. And he was just like, if I could have seen a kid in a candy store jumping for joy, that would have been Mickey when he was telling me that story. And I couldn't help it. I'm pretty sure I like chuckled or I waited till I got off and then I just started laughing because he was just so excited.
I did my job.
He was screaming from the rooftops. It was just amazing and funny.
I got my client to be compared with Stephen King. I did my job.
It was great.
There you go.
It was
perfect.
It was just he's like, check this out. I mean, this is great. And I'm just like, Mickey, I haven't checked my email, but yeah, like this sounds great. I'm like, I don't know how you do it. Like, it's just, yeah, no. I remember that. So between Mickey's so excited about those things and then Dina called me, it's sweet. It's just great. Like, it's just, I know when they're working on your stuff because I get those phone calls and I'm like, oh yeah, this is great. And then I sit here and I talk to Bjorn and then we're just sitting here talking about how much we hate laundry. It's great. It's just, this is all around. It's just a really fun.
Look at the love you provide all of us, Bjorn, with all of this.
It's so
you need to put a book out every week because me and Amy don't always talk like that. Usually it's other conversations.
Well, I've taught myself into book 8. I bounced it off Andrea first, and I think I've taught myself into book 8. I'm actually almost done with it, the first draft. There's a spinoff that Andrea is going to be working on starting next month. And I have 4 or 5 more spinoffs I'm thinking about. And spinoff series, I haven't even told Andrea this yet. There's a spinoff series from the 8th book. Another group is introduced. I'll just leave it at that for now.
It's
another
breaking news, Andrea. We're all finding out. This is all breaking
live.
So long story short, there's a lot coming.
Now you know.
Oh man,
I'm sorry.
Aren't you just so glad you came on this right now? So now you know what's up, right?
Absolutely. Yes. That's great news to my ears.
Christmas in May. Done said. Yeah.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No, I love it. Well, I'm curious, right? Because a lot of authors write in genres that they enjoy reading. So do you enjoy reading historical fantasy, or are you going to be like completely left field and you're like me, which is just like psychological thrillers, crazier the better? But what's your favorite genre? I'm going to pop around to everybody. I already know Dina's, but she can tell me anyways.
Actually, I don't read a lot, which I know it sounds, they always say a good writer reads and writes. I read mostly mine's research, believe it or not. Yeah, I do read creative works. I've read some of C.C. Robinson's the short book she did first, the introduction book, Upheaval. I read that. I really enjoyed it. I started reading Divided, her first book, but I just ran out of time. That's the major obstacle, really, is just time between having a real job and having my expensive hobby job writing and having the little farm to take care of. don't read a lot, but when I do, it's a little bit of everything. I like Clive Cussler. I read Sahara. I really love that book. I love that one. I like the book better than the movie. Me and Ellen debate that all the time. She likes the movie better than the book. I like the book better than the movie. I remember White Fang growing up. The one I read first was White Fang. That's the first book I remember reading, and I enjoyed that. A little bit of everything, but mostly research. Believe it or not, I just research stuff. Something will strike my interest, and off on the internet reading stuff about it.
Yeah,
like the latest thing I read about. I mean, this probably bored the hell out of everybody on this TV right here, but I mean, the thing I read last was about ships that went missing without a trace. That was what I started reading. I read about
that sounds awesome.
The Cyclops, the Mary Celeste, which the ship didn't disappear. The people disappeared off the ship. Just stuff like that. I mean, just anything that strikes my interest, I start reading about it.
Man, yeah.
Oh, I thought you said chip. And I was like, well, yeah, that's like me and any bag of chips I bring in the house, they disappear without a trace. So I was like, not a joke.
Ship, indeed, a boat, a yacht.
I'm hungry. Okay, I haven't had chips in weeks.
We could not tell. We could not at all. But no, that sounds fascinating. I'm similar, but now it makes a whole lot of sense on why, when you interweave history into your books, why it's done so elegantly, is because it's just what you seem to enjoy the most. So, Andrea, what do you enjoy reading the most? Not editing, but reading.
Yeah, definitely. I read a lot of like thrillers. The last two books that I read that I was just really, really enjoyed were Flynn-Berry. They're like spy novels in Ireland. Those are really good. And ironically, I really don't edit very much of that. So that's yeah.
Interesting.
When you read, do you mentally edit as you're reading, or do you just like drop that hat off and you're like, I'm on a busman's holiday. I'm not.
Yeah, I mean, not intentionally. I truly would prefer to turn that off, but yeah, some things, stick out at you when you're reading. But I'm not like a super critical editor, either. So when I'm reading, mostly it's when I notice like really bad form in a book, and the first thing I do is flip to the front to see who published this.
One thing I do to mess with Andrea is I will slide in little things to see if she's paying attention.
Oh, and she is.
Oh yeah.
Love it.
I love
Yes,
it. I love it. That's a good relationship right there, because most people have a very love-hate relationship with their editor. So the fact that you guys can do that is great.
Oh yeah.
I hear Russell talk about that all the time. I always tell him the same thing. I can't identify Russell. I love my editor. I don't have that problem.
He's definitely the prime example of a love-hate relationship with your editor. He's the billboard.
It's great, like working with Bjorn, for example. I can tell him, man, this is awesome. Try this, try that. But when I do come across something that I want to give him some pushback, I know that he'll take me seriously, and he knows it's coming from a good place and I'm not just being mean. But that he'll at least weigh that advice. Now he may decide to keep it or go another, direction than what I advised, but I know he will weigh that advice. And so yeah, I think it's a great relationship.
I've taken 95% of all the suggested changes, and I have done those. Now the 5%,
95%.
Yeah, but the 5%, the 5% is a little fuzzy because I see what she's saying, and I'll kind of find a compromise. And usually it's something small, wouldn't you say, Andrew? I mean, usually I just change one line somewhere, and then we're both happy with it. But the one thing I would not back off of, and she's gonna laugh, was she wanted me to rename the thing, the Norse, the word for the Norse meetings that they had semi-annually or annually was called the thing. That's what they called it. That was
they're like town hall meetings, and I'd be reading along, and I'm not. I mean, admittedly, I don't know a lot about Norse history, and I was reading along in the very first book, and I'm like, really? I mean, that's what we're going to call like the town hall meeting is the thing. The thing is tonight at 7:00 or whatever, at sundown. And I'm like,
the state of the thing, 7 p.m.
I'm like, you are such a creative writer. Can we find a better word? He's like, no, that's actually the word for it. And I was like, oh, okay, then the thing it is.
So I think that would probably be the only thing that she suggested I change, and I refused. Otherwise, it was either a compromise or I agreed and changed it the way she asked.
And that was the best choice for you to keep it the way it is. So.
Man, that's hilarious. That makes me think of the movie The Thing, or like you're reading it, and you're like, oh, that thing,
that
like
thing.
how
the thing you can't pronounce.
Yeah, or like you just totally. Or you just forgot it, like my mom forgets all of our names and she's like, you over there, you come here, just it makes my mind go to that. So it just makes me chuckle. So I love
Well, that's actually how she kind of replied originally with that concern in the documentation she sent me back. Was it's almost like you just used this as a placeholder until you thought of a better word.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, please go back and change that.
I love it. I love it. Mickey, what about you? What do you enjoy reading?
Well, it used to be comic books, but lately I have been reading some novels, to be honest.
Nice. Branching out.
I've read a couple of horrors. I actually just finished book 2 of George R.R. Martin's series. I'm going to start on the Iliad this next week. What's that?
You shouldn't have done it because he's never going to finish the series.
No. It's not a bolt back. Whether he finishes or he doesn't, it doesn't matter. It's just you enjoy what you can enjoy in that moment.
It is good.
The books are far better than the TV show. I'll just throw my opinion in there.
I haven't watched any TV since I've actually discovered this whole book world. It's crazy. So I'm doing all kinds of stuff and reading classics and doing all different things. So yeah.
Look at you. Yes. I love it.
And I still love Peter Straub. May he rest in peace. Still my favorite writer of all time.
Nice. I like it. Dina, go on ahead and tell everybody what's yours. And before you ask, no, I have not completed it.
I'm like mystery, thriller, romantic, suspense. So, I mean, Amy's over here alluding to my diehard fangirl of JD Robb. And rereading the entire series at least once a year.
Okay. Now, I have a bone to pick with her on that one though, because there's like 60 books in this series. Okay, and she's like, I read them every year. Amy, Bjorn, you're gonna love this. This is very Dina-esque, and so if you guys can't relate to me, I'm sorry. But okay, so I haven't read those. And I like to listen to the audiobook as I read because I don't know, it brings the characters more to life for me. And then if I don't know, I'm not a strong reader. Okay. So sometimes words are hard for me and my mind to pronunciate. So hearing it, I'm better off that way. And so I do that. And so me and Dina started off together. We were going to read these together. Okay. No, Dina flat lied because Dina's already read them. She skims them. I'm sitting here actually reading them.
I don't skim them. I just don't read the sex scenes.
No,
because
no, she skims them.
That's the only part of skim is the sex scene. So I'm still reading it.
No, she's done with a book in a day. Okay, you cannot do that unless you are skimming. Okay, so therefore I have given up.
Anyway,
I've given
up. Reader anyway.
Nope.
I'll read a book a day. Even working full time, I read a book a day, but I haven't cracked the spine on a book all year.
I've given up keeping up with Dina, so I'm on my own reading these 60 books, and I don't remember which one I left off on. I think I made it to 13, and when I was on 13, Dina was on like 36. Okay, like I'm just telling you. So, yeah. The moral of this story, Bjorn, is don't enter into a reading companionship with Dina. Like, just don't. Back away. If she offers that, just walk away. Don't do it. Okay.
Amy, I hate to do this. I do have. Sorry, go ahead.
Bye, Mickey.
I gotta go. Bjorn, thank you so much. Thanks, everybody. We'll keep going. Good job.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Bye.
my daughter is over here calling me a cheater. I'm
Because
not
she
a cheater.
knows.
I'm a speed
She
reader.
knows that you.
I learned how to speed read in elementary school. I'm sorry. Did y'all have that class
I'm gonna mute
when y'all were in
Dina.
elementary school, or is that only for us old farts?
I don't remember speed reading. No.
I don't either.
I did.
Yeah, they taught us. I was in like 2nd or 3rd grade. They like,
Yes.
you know, this is how you do it. And I was like,
But I can't read
yeah,
that
it was
way.
great. Oh, I did.
At 50, I don't read that way. I want to read every single word. So
Well, it's the detail. The detail. You got to have details. You know.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'm with you on
But
that.
I'm picky about my audiobooks. They got there for a while that, you know, instead of it being an unabridged audiobook, they were these abridged. I was like, no, I want every bit of the story.
yeah.
Don't gloss over it. Don't, you know.
Yeah.
So they have like Cliff Notes audiobooks now.
Well, they were doing it. It was maybe like 10 years ago, 10, 15. I don't know. You get my age, and you know, a year is like a week for me. So this is not it's like
I can identify.
But I think it's strange that we're 5 months into the year and I haven't cracked the spine on a single book, I've still got the same book on my, you know, Goodreads says I'm currently reading for like 3 months now, 4 months now. Shut up.
Bro,
Sorry.
I don't know what I'm gonna do. I don't know what I'm gonna do with you. But you know what everybody can do today if they haven't cracked the spine of a book, or if they're in between books and they're looking for a book, you can go and get Bjorn's book for 99 cents.
I was gonna say I could suggest 5.
Right? I was gonna say you can go on over there and get it for 99 cents today. And you know, let me check our placement, Bjorn, before we get off. Maybe there's a hope. Okay. I don't know. Let's check it. Because it makes me happy. It just makes me happy. I like it. No, we're still holding at number 2, though. That makes me really
still there.
happy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. We're still at number 2. Well, that makes me happy. Did we show your cover? No, let's show it before we round out. I know we showed the books and stuff, but
So you know what to look for.
it just looks beautiful when you see it.
Yeah,
on
while
there.
you're there, get the first one.
Yeah, see? Look, this is the cover.
Get the
right
set.
here. Look at that right there. Isn't that pretty? With all the orange, and this is on fire. Just look at that. Oh my goodness. Then you have the whole set down here, you guys. Oh my gosh. Insane. These are things that make me super happy. As you can tell, like I'm just ecstatic about it. Oh, but Bjorn, I love that your world keeps expanding, and your world, and I mean your writing world and what you want to write just keeps expanding. And you had breaking news here for Andrea today of this whole new thing that you're gonna do.
More of a warning, I think.
It's just like, oh my goodness.
And to continue the warning, book 8 it's very, 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 very psychological.
Cool.
Very psychological.
Cool.
Nice.
The mind bender more than anything else.
Oh, I
Nice.
love those. I love those. Those make me super happy. I know
Just run
Dina's
up and
happy.
Sally.
Wow. I know Dina's going to be happy to be working on all those covers, because I've never heard that girl happier than when I agreed to do the JD Robb series read with her, and then when she's working on your book covers. Like that, she's the kid in the candy shop.
Well,
Right
no,
there.
because Amy came to me and she goes, "Hey, look, I got a cover I need you to do," and I was only doing nonfiction covers. I thought, this is my wheelhouse. This is where I am. She goes, "No, trust me.
Yeah.
You can't do worse than what it was."
that
And I was like,
That's the truth.
was a
story.
true statement.
That's a true story.
That's a true.
But that's okay because you are such a powerful writer.
Yeah.
I don't it didn't overcome the original covers, no.
so that was how she talked me into it, because I could tell her, "Amy, you know I don't do fiction. I don't do fiction."
Yeah. But
And
it really,
she's like,
it wasn't that hard to talk her into it, because all that I did was I was like, look, let me just send you the covers now, and we'll just let's see how you feel. And she was like, okay, send it to me and I'll think about it. And I think she no longer got it, and we got off the phone and she was like, what about this, this, and this? Like, what direction are we going? Like, she was so excited. So it wasn't like I had to really twist her arm. Okay. It's not like I had to bribe her or anything. She just was excited to do it. So telling you.
I was like, hell yeah, I could do this. I could totally do this. Oh my God, I know the fonts. I know everything.
That's exactly how the conversation went. And like every time now from Hinar and out, like on the book covers that she's done, that is exactly what it is. And then it's just like, Amy, check this out. Isn't it sweet? Like the way she does, just when she says it like that, I'm like, Dina has hit gold and had the most fun ever doing it. So I've thoroughly enjoyed just listening to that, Bjorn. So thank you. It has brought a highlight to my day. I love it.
No problem.
Yeah, I love it.
Kind of like I get when Amy calls me on the phone. Y'all, you should totally hear her ringtone.
No, you don't. No, you don't need to hear my ringtone on those things. No, you don't. No.
Everyone who hears it laughs.
Yeah, that's why I've made it a point not to text or do anything like that while we're on this, because her phone will go off. I've made that a very known point. But book 5, Bjorn, is out today. Book 6 is coming out in August. Is that right? August or September?
Like September.
Yeah.
Last I heard.
Yeah.
Man, I better get to work on that.
Yeah.
The preliminary cover is great, but it's not done. And the inside, yeah. Yep.
I just got to do the rest of it.
Yeah. So be on the lookout for that. But go and grab your copy today. It's 99 cents to celebrate. And you know what? Why not go ahead and grab the rest of them? You can grab the rest of the ebooks and this new one all for $10.
Don't break up a happy family. Get the whole family.
Yeah.
Don't break up happy family.
Don't break it up. And plus, you kind of need to read them in order. So don't break them up. Okay.
Put the rainbow on your bookshelf.
Yeah, I'm telling you, I have all of them.
I don't know. I've got to get the 4th and the 5th book for my.
I have to get this one. I have to get this one. But Bjorn, as you can tell, Andrea, as you can tell, we enjoy working with you guys, hanging out, talking, getting you guys talking about this book. Andrea, the editing process, Bjorn, the creative aspect on how this whole thing came about. I always love it. I'm glad that we could dive into more supernatural elements because I've always been curious about that. And I'm just really glad that I didn't forget that question. Every time we get off of it, I'm like, darn it, I wanted to ask about it. I remembered, Bjorn. I remembered. I'm just saying, it's one of those things. But no, thanks for letting us be a part of it. Dina, you and your fabulous covers. Thanks for being on it. But thanks for trusting us and letting us party with you, Bjorn. This has been so much fun.
Thank you very much for all you guys do. I mean, like I said, you guys handle the hard stuff. I don't. I just do the writing.
And I feel like the writing is the hard stuff. And what I do is I just go out there and market and have fun and throw parties because I will never write a book. But that's because I've worked with people that have written books and I know what all goes into it. So I can't do that. But you guys, closing note, the link to get Bjorn's book 5 is in the comment section down below. Make sure that you go and take advantage of it. It's only on 99 cents for a limited time. So make sure you go take advantage of it until September, you guys, for book 6. Make sure you take advantage of it and we will catch you all for book 6. Until then, bye for now, everybody.